Look at where you're spending money, see where you can recycle and recapture, as Chris says, or you're going to just take what you're already saving and you're going to start putting that in your own bank. So welcome to the Wealth Wednesday webinar. I'm Shauna here filling in for Chris and Stephen while they are on their way home. And I kind of had a thought and a word that I wanted to talk about today. And we're in June now, and I kind of Googled, like, you know, how far into the year we are. So what I want to cover today is sort of like a mid-year audit. As of today, and according to Google, we are 45% of the way done with this year. And I kind of feel like we should do a little bit of a reflection on how far we've come, you know, if we have goals, what we need to do to get to where we want to be by the end of the year, because we're coming up on the halfway mark. I actually technically thought we were at the halfway mark, but it's apparently only 45%. Okay, so I want to go over spending, savings, goals, plans, obstacles, and how to get clarity on all of that. So I came up with this financial clarity quiz. So questions you should be asking yourself, probably, I think we should be asking ourselves this all the time. But I know it's a little bit easier said than done. So do you know how much you spend each month? Do you know how much debt you have? Do you know how much you need to retire and by when? Do you know your net worth and track it each year? And do you have clear financial goals and targets? Usually when I hear these questions, I can answer how much I spend each month because I've been actively tracking that. And that's just something new I've been doing this year. Do I know how much debt I have? I have a clear pulse on that. I have personally no idea how much I need to retire and by when. I've never looked at my own net worth, and I have a rough vision of my financial goals and targets. I know that whenever you do like a financial, any sort of financial class, they always tell you it's as easy as you spend less than you make, you pay off your debts, you save, and you invest your savings. And to me, sometimes like that easy advice, and the fact that we've probably all heard that so many times, it starts to sound like when I text my mom about how my head is pounding and I don't know what, like I just am having headache after headache, and she tells me I need to drink water. It sounds like it sounds like an easy solution, but we don't necessarily do the actionable easy steps to solve it. So I don't know if this is resonating with anybody about the spend less than you make, pay off your debts, save, invest your savings. Like it all sounds so easy, but when it comes down to doing it, it's just, there's just some reason why we don't. But so I know that Chris is a very visual guy. And the way that I learn is I learn through storytelling. And over the weekend, I was painting my kitchen, and I have a subscription to this thing called Masterclass. So it's, maybe you've heard of it, but you can like watch all these other people's classes. And sometimes I just choose, I was painting the kitchen, so I chose Steph Curry, and it was on shooting, ball handling and scoring. And I don't play basketball. I've never watched Steph Curry's games before. I could not really tell you who he plays for either. But the way I like to learn a lot from other people's dedications, the methods that they use, and I apply that to things in my life. So I took away a lot of stuff from his class that I think that we could all apply in like our financial planning, in our, in, you know, how we take care of ourselves, this sort of thing. So I guess Steph Curry, if you are familiar with him, you probably know exactly what kind of player he is, but I guess he's really great at ball handling. He shoots really good threes. I guess he's like on the shorter end of things. And he's just very, very determined, very dedicated, you know, patient. He has all these things, all these trainings. I guess he's the same age as me as well. But even though he's really great at the threes, and that's the thing that he is known for, he doesn't just start his games and start his warm-ups just at the three line, just throwing threes. He starts close to the net. He's doing twos. He'll shoot his shot as close to the net, and then he'll back up and he'll just keep doing it, and he'll keep compounding, and he'll keep doing this all the way until he reaches like 100 baskets. And then, you know, and then that's like his warm up. But the thing he really takes away from that is he's building that compounding interest. Even though he can shoot a two, maybe he doesn't need to practice it. That's just how he starts. He starts close. He builds momentum. He's building the confidence. He also knows his athleticism. So he's a great player, and he said something like, you know, I know what kind of a player I am. I'm not dunking because I'm short, but a two is a two. And he reviews the tapes. He's able to look back at things that he did. He's able to see it from a different perspective. When he's shooting a game and he's playing a game, he's just looking through his eyes. When he zooms out a little bit and he can see himself, he can see other players. Maybe he took a risk and, you know, he made it and it turned out great, but he might have had another player that was open that could have also taken the shot. And I kind of like really think that that's stuff that we can really apply to our financial, I guess, patterns, habits, and there's got to be something to really practicing, to really honing your craft, and to be paying attention to yourself and always watching yourself, that it works for other people. So I think it's got to work for our finances too. And another thing, this might come, I kind of parallel this a little bit to being a smarter investor, is like he was saying, you know, he gets more shot ready. So when he catches the ball, rather than pulling it down where someone can just come and smack it away, he's somehow able to just shoot right from like where he catches and makes it. And eventually, over time, with the more you learn about your financial education through Chris, through the other speakers that we always have on, through the books that you read, you're going to be more shot ready. He also takes a lot of consideration for his mindset and his memory. So he said it also a good thing, and something I'm trying to learn myself too. And I do it really well at sometimes, but if he shoots the ball, he forgets. You know, sometimes we make purchases that, you know, maybe we shouldn't have, or we made a bad decision, but you have to just sometimes have that short-term memory loss. If you know that you can make 100 shots in practice, you know that you're, you know, a moral person, and you've reviewed the tapes, and you know you actually have the skills, but for some reason you missed the shot, forget about it. And it's always you versus you. And even though he's great at all the things that he does, he, you know, keeps learning and keeps setting new targets for himself, which I'm pretty sure everybody here does, which is why you're here with me on a Wednesday afternoon. Another thing that I like to do, I learned through storytelling, and I learned through pretty much gamification. I make everything in my life a game, and it's usually me versus me. And I hope that you do the same in your own life, where it's you versus you. And whether that's in the morning, you know, I've been doing a workout, and not that I need to, but I'm building some sort of discipline and strength that I want to be disciplined and strengthened in my business decisions, my business decisions in, you know, investments, things that I care about and that can help. But if I have to learn that discipline and that strength through other things, I know I'm growing that somewhere else. So people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. So I wanted to focus on spending and saving a little bit, because when you become your own bank and you start putting money into these policies, it really always kind of comes down to like, what are you spending your money on? How much are you saving? Like those are the basic questions that Chris really asks, because that's how you're going to build your bank. You're either going to look at where you're spending money, see where you can recycle and recapture, as Chris says, or you're going to just take what you're already saving and you're going to start putting that in your own bank. And I found these statistics, and I thought I threw them in here, but around 40% of Americans have less than $300 in savings, and $6,270 is the average credit card debt in America. And 70% say that their financial planning needs work. And that sounds pretty accurate to me. So I've been paying attention to my spending a lot this year, just because I used to really focus on my income. I used to just always write down, actually, I'm going to unshare my screen so that I can show you what I do. I've always had planners, and I've tracked, actually went down memory lane last night trying to prepare for this speech, but I've always kind of tracked my income. So it started, like, here's an example of September 2016. So I used to kind of, I would waitress, bartend, I would, I would clean houses, I would help babysit, drive kids to horseback riding lessons, whatever. But a lot of my money was, rather than a paycheck, it was like a daily thing. So like I would work on, I would waitress on Monday, I would make money on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like I just kind of needed to know, yeah, I needed to know, like, what really am I making? And so for a really long time, I've always just at least wrote down what I made. Like I made $50 from Kelly on Monday. I made $151 on Tuesday waitressing or something. On this Thursday, I had a bad night. I only made $24 and I only had 3 tables. And it's amazing the couple of things that I've noted in here. But I always had a pulse on the money that I was making because it was from other sources. I also don't really know where it came from, but for what I think I just wanted to know. And then one thing I've been really doing this year is keeping, I got this budget planner from Walmart for, I think it was only like $2.84. It's got your monthly spending, and you can do the calendar, what you pull in, and all that sort of stuff. And now I know it says budget planner, but budgeting is still something that I don't fully understand, because I just think that we just live our lives. So as much as it's called a budget planner, I really am just, like I said in the beginning, just auditing. Like I'm just watching what's happening to my spending and seeing what I'm really doing, to see where I can make changes, where I need to tighten up, where I can forgive myself, or, whatever. One thing that I've done this year that's really helped me be able to track my spending is I've stopped using cash and my debit card. I use 1 to 2 credit cards for my purchases. And it was actually really nice. The one lady, they're through my bank. So that I go to Key Bank, and this lady at the teller was super nice. And she told me I should get this one cashback credit card. I don't know if she saw it. I don't know if she probably got some sort of referral for it, but whatever. It was I don't even know what the cashback is, but I just keep using that card and I get some cash back, which helps with gas prices, with everything. And then I pay it off in full, and I pay it more than once a month. So I've spent time in credit card debt. I think for like one of these years, it was like a rolling like $1,300 like all year, which I know isn't a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, like compared to what I was actually making, it was like a lot to me. And it just seemed never ending. It was like $1,300 like the whole year, no matter how much I was trying to get out of it or how much I was paying for it. It was like I would pay $100, like $150, and then that $150 would wind up back on there. So I have zero. I've gotten out of credit card debt, but I use my credit cards all the time. And it's a game that I play with myself, is when on that statement, when there's that interest paid year to date, I want it to say $0 so badly. So whether it's my Amazon credit card, my MasterCards, my Capital One or whatever, I make sure that I do pay it off in full every month. And because I've been doing like really paying attention to my spending, again, we're 6 months into this year. I've been paying attention to every dollar I've spent, but I haven't necessarily come up with any plans or solutions yet for how to address these certain things, but I'm watching it. So maybe that's the first step. So about every like $500, I'll make a payment. So I pay it off more than once a month. So this is just how I've been able to really dollar for dollar, been able to see what I've been truly spending. I added some stuff in here that I took out. I took these slides out a couple of times, but I'll put them, I put them back in essentially. But what I took from Steph Curry's masterclass that I watched, and just the importance of reviewing the tapes and seeing like what his body's doing, seeing what other men are open on the court, and what other plays he could have made and how certain things worked out for him. Like I just really do think reviewing the tapes in your own life is super important. And about the last day of the month or so, I sit down. It takes a lot longer than I thought it was going to. It takes like 60 to 90 minutes. And I sit down, I look through all my spending, but because I've put it basically in two places, I've got 2 MasterCards, and then I have my Amazon card. So essentially it's in 3 places. And I will see what I've purchased on Amazon. I'll see what I purchased on my credit cards. I'll see how much gas I've spent, how many times I've gone to Walmart for food, how many times I've gone to Aldi's, you know, what I've spent on clothes, whatever. These are my real numbers too on the side here. Like this is literally what it'll look like. Gas. You know, I've been into film, so which is very expensive for me to take film pictures. It's like $18 for film and like $15 to get it developed. So like my hobby is $35 for me to take crappy pictures, but I do it, whatever. Another thing that's really nice is these are actual cashback numbers that I got from 1 month. So it was about $59.50. And to me, that's like a tank of gas. So by also keeping track of what I've been spending and being really conscious of using my cashback credit card, I was able to get some cash back, which I thought was kind of nice. Another thing that this budget planner has really helped me notice is these are my real numbers for 1 month. And this is a month where I pretty much lived, I guess you would call it paycheck to paycheck. So I would have never guessed, if I didn't track my money to a T, that I have a nearly a 10-year-old car My rent is $1,000. I would never, ever effing guess that I would spend 57.34.76 in a month. Like, it was a little eye-opening for me because I like to think that I live below my means a lot. And I like to think that my rent is, low. I've paid off my car for 3 years now. Even though I have just that itch to get a new car, I just keep denying that because I just am working towards something else. But if you don't pay attention to your money, I might think that I'm living below my means, but there's going to be times where I might realize that I'm not. But when you write down the grand total, you're able to kind of see what stands out. So in this particular month, I was able to notice, like, in some of this stuff was, my friend was getting married. So, I had an Airbnb for $812. That's not normally, part of my monthly thing. I live in the country, so I have propane bills. But the nice thing about that is, even though it was $217.84 for May, I'm not really using propane besides for cooking or my hot water. So I will probably, in the summertime, there'll be a few months where I don't have a payment. I bought tickets to something because my friend was getting married. I got my toes painted for $92. I spent a little bit of money on clothes. I have no idea where I was dining out because that doesn't really ring a bell. And I also got 4 new tires for my car and an oil change. So when you lay it all out, sometimes you really get to kind of see if there are problems, or if there's just certain things that have just happened. Like, my friend's not getting married. Every month I'm not traveling to an Airbnb for $800. I'm not going to buy tires for another 2 or 3 years. I get to skip out on a propane bill next month, likely. And I'm going to cut back on my dining for a little bit. I am going to check the chat real quick. As far as a recommendation for cashback card, it was through my bank, which was super nice. And it was like literally like, like when you're at JCPenney's or something and they want to give you a credit card. That's like pretty much what happened. I went to get a check or deposit something, and she was just like, you have this old credit card from when you were 18 and opened your first credit card with us. You should get this new cashback one. And so I opened that one. And what's really nice with that is I don't know if your bank has credit cards as well, but for me, not that it's any different, but I can look at my bank account and I can transfer and pay off like right to my own credit card in like one swoop. But yeah, I'm with Joseph that awareness is the first step. So like for years now, I have paid attention to what I've made. I haven't necessarily paid attention to what I'm really spending on. I have a lot of my bills written down always, but I never kind of had that fine line, like money in, money out, what's left over, and where's it going and why. And sometimes there's times to beat yourself up about it, and sometimes sometimes it's just, it is what it is. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Also, back to that beginning, that financial quiz that I had. So I've never looked up my net. I've never determined my net worth. So before this webinar, I just straight up Googled it. It's your assets, which is your cash in your checking, your savings account, retirements accounts, your cash value of whole life, not term, and then like items that you can sell for cash, and minus your liabilities. So like balance on your mortgage, balance on your car, student loan, credit card debt, stuff like that. Back to the headache drinking water thing. Easy. How to determine your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. Do we do it? Do we take the time to write that stuff down? I am actually, if I had more time before this webinar and before like Googling this, I would have probably tried to do it for myself and really figured out like, what the heck is my net worth? And even if we do this once, I mean, wouldn't it be just nice to know? Like to me, it's really nice for me to know that I have like the year to date that I made in 2016. I'm sure this is how other people do things. Maybe they don't. I'm not sure, but I think a lot of the times we just live our lives and stuff happens, and we just gotta if we're regular everyday people, we just gotta have fun with our lives. And if we can pretend that we're Steph Curry for a day or two, and like, let's review our tapes, like, let's just pay attention to ourselves, and like, let's just be the star of our own movie and pay attention. I also was a little nervous to Google this one, is how to determine your retirement needs. I have never been taught this. I've never heard this. I've never even overheard this. And I don't know if anybody else has. So I'm going to actually, I know that it'll block the screen for a minute, but I do want to ask, has anybody like formally been asked or taught about their retirement needs? Because it's just, I've never heard it. I've never overheard it. I've never been instructed how to do it. I don't know. So does anybody have, I guess, is it common for us to know our retirement needs, or am I new to this? Okay, Andrew says, I've never heard anybody talk about it. Her job is with retirement. She knows nothing about money. Ooh, your investments bring in more than your salary did. That's awesome, Colleen. But I guess that there was this multiply your current annual spending by 25. And then you will safely be able to withdraw 4% of that amount every year to live on. And so if you spend $40,000 now, you'll need a investment portfolio of 25 times that, which is $1 million. And when I did Google other retirement statistics, it's suggesting now that millennials will need $2.5 million going into their retirement. I've always worked for smaller companies, and I also like live in the country, so I'm like surrounded by small businesses, and it's always like, you go to work and that's how you make your money. But retirement really just, it's not even really a requirement if you have under X amount of employees to really even have to deal with that. So it's interesting how many people I think are left in the dark on making their retirement if they don't have that guidance, if they don't have one of those jobs that offer it, because it just gets like left behind, which is why it's so great to have people like Greg Herline and Horizon Trust who can help with self-directed IRA accounts, Roth accounts, and really help the people who maybe didn't have access to it. Plans and obstacles. So around 80% of people, I looked up a little bit of goal setting because in the beginning of the year, I know it's really common for people to set goals. And for some reason, my mind goes blank when I have to set some goals. So around 80% of people never set goals for themselves. And 70% of the 20% that do set it, they fail to achieve them. And so if we're not setting goals, or if we do set goals and they don't really work out, I kind of think it comes down to how you do one thing is how you do everything. Because if we take goals right off the table, it's just like who we are and what we're doing. So I am suggesting some changes and some things that we can do to get our houses in order right now. And I am no expert, but I'm going to say write stuff down and make it real. Organize and get rid of what you don't need and make room. And make the damn appointments, because I feel like there's always excuses that I have to, get to the dentist. I have to get to the doctor. I have to get to the chiropractor, all these things that we end up just like putting at the forefront of our mind. And those are things that we think about before we think about like our investments and other things that we have to do. So like, let's just get all those appointments out of the way so that you can just focus on the things that you want. And I really think it's awesome. I really think that we should get rid of things that we don't need and make room for things that we do, and that we do want to draw into our lives. I also put a little asterisk call for dig your ditches. And this was something that I guess like a little word that I had. So it was something that I heard from the Bible pretty much. I don't know if that's too much to say, but it's a story about three kings in a wilderness on a fool's mission. They were about to die of thirst, and they had been relying on their own strength and wisdom, and now they were in a really bad situation, and God directed them to dig their ditches in the wilderness. So to be exhausted, parched and weary, and then to start digging ditches is the last thing that you would want to do, especially if there's like no rain clouds around you and no real reason for you to like think that I should be digging these ditches, and you're tired and you're impending doom pretty much. But I really just want to encourage everybody to start digging their ditches and take these steps of action towards creating space that you can accept and draw in the things that are headed your way. I consider you guys being on the Wealth Wednesday webinar as part of digging your ditches. Like, you are putting things in place for yourself. You are making conscious effort. You are connecting with people. You are learning. You are doing all these things that are going to help you. And goals, since we're halfway through the year, just about, again, I do want to ask a few questions, and maybe I'll put the chat up and kind of hear back. Halfway through 2022, what books do you want to read? Do you have a book on the side of your bed right now that you need to finish? Does anyone have any good books? If you like Audible, I like this really short book called The Go-Giver. It's like an hour and a half long. I highly suggest. Also, Chris has 3 books. You can get all of those, I think, on Audible, or 2 of his books on Audible as well. What skills do you need to strengthen? For me, speaking, what reward will you give yourself? So I know that for me, I really need a set of headphones, but for some reason I keep dangling that carrot in front of myself, and I'm going to reward myself with a set of headphones eventually. What bad habits are you going to actively kick to the curb? So maybe that's, and that doesn't just have to be with your money. Maybe that's with your eating. And sometimes like it's weird, but sometimes the bad habits that we do have kind of affect the money too, I guess, right? Like, if we're not picking out on junk food, then we probably are saving that money that we're spending. And then what connections do you need to make? So do you have some goals? Do you have in that book, The Go-Giver, one of the, I haven't listened to it in a couple of months, but one of the things was really the connector, and just connecting people and with who and what they need. So like, what connections do you need to make this year? I personally think that like between our network of people and speakers and the people who we know and the people behind the scenes, I really kind of feel like we could connect you with anybody that you need. So never hesitate to reach out to any of us through email. with a question, because if it's something we can't do for you, we're happy to pass you along to somebody who can help you. Because I'm definitely a firm believer that, if you win, then we all win. And who do you want to shake hands with before this year is finished? We have been lucky enough to see some of you in person over the last couple of years, but I know it just seems like so long and so few and far between that we see actual people. Like we get to see like a couple of people, like even myself and Stephen Nagy, like we live completely far apart. I've only seen him maybe 4 times in real life, and maybe even less. It's nice to be in the same place as people sometimes. Like I said, I draw my education from storytelling, and I usually like to multitask. So the other day I had an hour-long meeting that I needed to catch up on, and I listened to it in my headphones while I mowed the lawn. So I really think that I really encourage you to multitask. Watch our videos while you're doing something around the house. Like if you're going to sit there and do your write down and track all your budget for 60 to 90 minutes, throw on a couple of our videos. Connect with our groups on Facebook, come to our live events, and reach out to any of us. We're happy to help. This is a screenshot from yesterday, so it's actually in 44 days from today. We have a live in-person event in July that we will be doing. On Friday, we're going to, if you're in the VIP, yeah, multitasking is my favorite test. If you come to the VIP, it's kind of like Friday night is the kickoff. We rented a suite for the baseball game. There's fireworks. We're going to have some snacks and some drinks, and you get to hang out with some of the speakers and basically the core followers. It's only like limited to about 25 people because I think the suite can only fit so many. But it's a really cute suite. It's like a 50s diner style, and baseball game downtown would be great. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's like jam-packed. We have so many speakers who want to speak and be there for you that we have to like put them on the stage at the same time, partially, like in order to make all these people be there for you in person. Some of it's like a panel, like some of it's like Greg and Justin Colby and Chris and Devin are going to talk about real estate investing for like a half hour. Just ways to really bring you as much as possible in person. And then I think Saturday night after the event, we're going to just open up our offices and have like open networking, maybe get some snacks. You can, talk to not the vendors, but like, the speakers that are there, the people who you've been in the audience with, Chris, Stephen, myself, Andrew will all be there. And then I'm going to do some questions or comments. You guys have all been very kind to me so far. So the live event, I have a question in the Q&A box, is the address of the event. So what's really nice about that is it's in a TV studio, and it's actually right next door to our office. So we have an office that's like the size of, I think it used to be like a Foot Locker warehouse or something like that. Like it's just this really, really big space, giant. And that's where we're going to have our whole space, and our direct next door neighbor is this TV studio with I think like 110 chairs, really nice, comfortable chairs, by the way, too. So that's where the event will be. And then we'll kind of have our office as like backstage. You can see where Chris and I and Andrew work. You can see where the podcasts are. And you can kind of make yourself more at home at our office, and then like sit and learn in the TV studio. And the address is I can type it in the chat actually, but it's 4545 Transit Road, Williamsville. It is close to the Buffalo Airport, just a quick, I mean, it's like only like a couple of miles. You can hear the planes land, but maybe in all honesty, from driving there, it's probably like an 8-minute drive to the Buffalo Airport. There's a hotel that is kind of like in the parking lot pretty much. So you could stay at that hotel and you could probably walk over to the event the whole time. If you were to fly in, you not need a car. There's a couple other nicer hotels down the road as well. And yes, it's the Buffalo, New York Airport is the closest airport. It's I think it's technically Buffalo Niagara is what is Buffalo Niagara International. And it'll be Saturday and Sunday. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than we anticipated. We were hoping to go from 10 to 4, but then when we really kind of talked to the speakers and laid it all out and wrote it all out, it's going to probably be more like 10 to 5. And then Saturday, we're just going to probably bleed over and just hang out. So any other questions or comments or how I can help you? But yeah, again, we're halfway through the year. I really just felt like it's a good time to reflect and pay attention to what we're doing. Pay attention to what we can change, maybe what we can't change. And sometimes the things that we can't change, we can just pivot and change other things around them to make it better. But that is pretty much my word for you today. I encourage you to come back. If this was your first time here, don't take this as the overall brand. Oh, if I can go back to Steph Curry. I'm hopefully just teaching you about 2s. Stephen and Chris will teach you about 3s because I'm just the up close and personal shots. And they all count and they all add up, I guess, right, for a win. So come back next week if this was your first time. Later this afternoon, there's Ask Me Anything, which is on our YouTube channels. It'll probably be Andrew, Gabby, and Hannah. Oh, the event is going to be streamed. And then that'll be recorded too for you as well. So if you did buy a virtual ticket to the July event, you'll definitely have access to it. Thank you everyone for sticking with me so long. I'm terrified to see what the recorded version of this is. And I can't wait to let Chris know that I did this whole thing by myself because he'll not believe it. So virtual tickets, I think, are $197. In-person tickets are $297. And the VIP ticket, which includes the Friday night, we're going to do a limo ride to the game. So we'll all like ride together. We're pretty much together for like 4 to 4.5 hours on Friday night, between the drive to the game, and the drive back. That's $997. But Chris, the virtual tickets, I believe, are $197. Yeah, Horizon is super nice. And if you have, I think Horizon just announced they bought some of our tickets from us, and they're going to, I think, give them, like, you pay a little bit and then they reimburse you when you get there. So you basically pay nothing. I forget, I don't know exactly how that works, but something like that. Like Horizon's going to pay for your ticket if you have an account with them for the general admission. Maybe I don't know if it's the virtual as well. They'll actually also do the in-person too, Colleen. Like if you're a general admission, if you go, because Greg's gonna actually be there, he bought tickets, you pay 97 and then they'll reverse the 97 like when you get there. So all in all, a zero sum game. But I'm gonna stop my share. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna turn the recording off as well.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We're putting up tons of them, but I think if you like this one, you'll probably like that video as well. Not only that, I've got a book that I created, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, where we actually show you what the wealthy do in the game they play with money. I want you to have that for free. And if you want to know about all my new videos coming up, click that alert button. Actually, smash that alert button, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video. So we'll see you on the next episode.